Okay, so I would like to do a response to a comment left by the Inevitron. Um, Let me read it to you. It's really strange. I'm completely against child rape. I don't believe even one child should be raped ever for any reason, even if a person really likes raping children. Or if it's a special occasion, I still consider raping even a single child to be completely unacceptable. Amen. I think we all can agree with that. Not a lot of people would consider me extreme, radical, or fanatical due to my stance on child rape. When it comes to ethical veganism, though, people like you in this video throw those words around constantly. Why is this? Does someone simply become extreme or radical simply because you disagree with their conclusion? Being 100% against an act that you consider unethical is not unusual, nor is it remotely extreme, as evidenced by the common stance against various forms of rape, murder, slavery, and so on. Why do you not hold veganism to those same standards? I'd imagine slavers consider people against slavery to be extreme, but it's hardly a consistent or rational view to hold. So, first of all, and I know where this person's coming from, it's called anti-speciesism, and where rape, murder, slavery, sexism is all basically is used as a parallel to describe what is going on in factory farming. I've done a video on anti-speciesist or anti-speciesism, and I'll leave a link below so that you can watch it and why I disagree with it. Now, I think, first of all, no, I do not consider all ethical vegans to be fanatical or radical. I don't consider them to be totally nut jobs like Gary Yourofsky or Freely the Banana Girl or Vegan Gains and all their sidekick followers. Well, I mean, think about this. If you really believe that this is exactly the same as a murder or a rape against another human being, then look at this in legal terms. What do we do here? I mean, what are you doing? Like, a lot of young vegans live at home with their animal eating parents. I don't know about you, but if I was living in the same house as a rapist or a murderer, I'd be getting out of there. I'd be gone. You point out the obvious, like you give the examples of what happens in factory farming, and it's horrific. I mean, I don't know too many omnivores out there that wouldn't admit themselves that this is pretty bad stuff and we need to change something here. But you come across with this moral superiority over omnivores, over people who eat animal products, like you are holier than everybody else, and yet you ignore your own hypocrisies. I mean, if you truly examined everything in your life, the products that you use and consume on a daily basis, and got to the sources of how those products were put together, you would realize pretty quickly that your life is not so clean. And I know the argument what vegans come back with on this is, well, yeah, I mean, we don't have any control over that, right? But at least here's an area that we have control over. And I agree with you. That's wonderful. Okay, so you're making a moral decision to give up eating animal products because you don't approve of what is going on in factory farming, and you don't approve with eating animals. It's unethical for you. But now you take it to another level where you consider yourself more enlightened, more morally superior to everybody else who doesn't follow your line of thinking, and yet you still continue to do things in your life that cause cruelty to other living creatures, that causes environmental damage, that causes social injustices, and you refuse to see that or look at it as being significant. And this is where I just cannot stand that level of hypocrisy. So when I say that I am not an ethical vegan, I mean I am not an anti-speciesist. I don't buy into that ideology. And I also see a place for humans still using animal agriculture, but in a different context, not in factory farming. I'm not totally against eating animal products, even though I don't myself. And I'll give you an example. People who choose to live off grid. I know a couple like this, a married couple with 2 children. They, a couple of years ago, decided to buy some land out in British Columbia and live off grid. And prior to that, the husband was, as far as I know, he was a vegetarian for at least 20 years. I'm not sure how long the wife was vegan for, but my impression was it was for quite a while. Well, once they started living off grid, in a very short period of time, they introduced livestock like chickens, goats, this kind of stuff into their lifestyle, and they are now omnivores. Their lifestyle is far more sustainable than any vegan that lives in our modern civilization. And another an example is in third world countries where animal agriculture is an integral part of how they live. It's important for their survival. I was in an area like that in Costa Rica. You'd walk around, there'd be chickens and roosters and cows grazing on the side of the road, people on horses. You'd see a mother walking down the road with her pig. This was day-to-day life, and the livestock that was there they were not confined against their will. They pretty much could have gone up, and if they decided they didn't like the situation, they could have taken off into the jungle, no problem. And these animals are an essential part to their livelihood. So, there are these exceptions. Now, if you are an ethical vegan, you've closed your mind off to all of that. You have, especially when you accept the narrative that any form of using animals for our survival, for consuming, is rape and murder. Once you have that mindset right across the board, there are no exceptions. There are none. And so you are pushing towards this world that will be 100% vegan. You have this utopian idea of the way the world should be, and you want to impose that on everybody. And I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I don't believe that the world will ever be 100% vegan. And I don't necessarily think it's the best idea either. I think what is wrong, though, is factory farming. That is a problem. We need to deal with it. And I think those of us who live in privileged countries, who have the option as to what to eat, it is in our. I think it is morally responsible for us to, at the very least, significantly cut down on our animal consumption. But if you can take it a step further, go 100% vegan like I am doing now. I just see us all as humans, and my aim personally as a human being is to live a life where I am not inflicting unnecessary cruelty on other living beings, whether they be human or non-human.